Welcome to Evo Biz Devo with Isis Latham, your host, your hub for personal and professional growth since 2018. At Evo Biz Devo, we bring together entrepreneurs, business leaders, and change makers to spark ideas, share knowledge, and grow together. Stick with us as we explore fresh ways to expand networks, build resources, and create lasting impact. Let's get started. Host and it's my pleasure to bring experts onto our show like Daniel Rubenstein from All In Entry. And today we're going to be learning about his one true list and how to get your sheet together. So Daniel, you got a little bit of a sense of humor here. So tell us about how you learned that it was okay to share that humor within your business, which is typically kind of dry, right?
Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. And uh it is data entry by definition is a little bit of a dry topic. Sometimes I've introduced this and say, we offer custom data entry solutions, but here's why that's actually more exciting than it sounds, is because we know a few things like sales is a numbers game and follow-up drives profit up, and databases are supposed to make that part of the life easier. The bummer is that databases need data and people hate data entry, and it kind of falls apart from there. So, um, and I actually try and be a fun person, but I know I come off as a little stiff and dry. So I try and throw in a little bit of sense of humor because candidly, people get really weirded out by all this stuff. Like they just shut down. And if we can make it a little bit more fun and a little bit more approachable, then we can help them move forward. It's look, nobody got into sales to do data entry. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Even I did. That's the reason why I started the company. So yeah, it's if they don't laugh, they might cry. So we got to do something to help them get going on a journey that is often they're often overwhelmed and frustrated by the time I start talking with them. And so we kind of have to start where they're coming from and show them it's okay. We can just keep going from here. So
Well, I feel your pain there, honestly, because and the experience of trying to take a dry topic and make it more palatable. I go through that talking about money. I was introducing myself to somebody recently and discussing what I do for work. And he says, "Oh, so you're like a financial therapist." And I said, "Well, no, advisor." And he says, "Oh, but I think of advisors as being much more dry than what you just described." I said, "Yeah, exactly. That's the way
well, there you
that
go.
our perception is. And until we experience something new, and you're actually going to help us to experience something new today in our mastermind, right?"
That's the goal, is that if I can share with you a little bit of the way we look at things on our little slice of the pie, if that can help you move forward, then I'm going to feel like I accomplished something. Hopefully you will as well.
I'm looking forward to it.
Ironically, we both are kind of in the compound interest business, just on different ends of the spectrum. How about that for a funny one?
That's a good one.
I'll try and
So,
throw in some, they're almost like dad jokes for data.
so we're going to be, for those of you that are listening to this outside of our live show today, we're going to be doing all the really fun stuff in the mastermind. So, you want to make sure that you attend Evolution live. And if we get Daniel to run a actual lunch and learn specifically for us at another time, you're going to want to make sure you're on that as well. So right now, though, let's bring it back to who is this Daniel Rubenstein who started All In Entry? What was your path? What got you here? And what makes it tick for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I mean, I definitely did not go to college for this. I can tell you that much. Although I guess I did. I went to school with a finance and accounting degree. Uh, so I'm here in St. Louis. I started this company about 12 and a half years ago now. And I've seen a lot over the years of how people have had this database dream,
Mhm.
and sometimes that's more of a nightmare. So if we can help people pass that hurdle, that's kind of our biggest thing. A little bit about me on a personal note, because I know we're supposed to share a little bit who we are. You know, mid 50s, and I've got a long-term girlfriend. We've been together for 15 years.
Wow.
I've got a greyhound, and this is my fourth one in a row. So that's my breed that likes me, I guess. And I'm a green thumb. If you saw my house, I've got like some huge house plants that have been around for 25 and 30 years. Seriously. Uh, oh, and the one thing you can't find about me on Google, I used to do extreme rollerblading. That
Really?
includes jumps, races, staircases, including the St. Louis Gateway Arch. My words on that is don't.
Does that fall in the same category as riding a barrel over the I had it in my
Niagara
brain.
Falls.
Niagara Falls, exactly.
Uh, that's probably way more extreme than what I did. Uh, but when the park ranger met us at the bottom of the steps, and he says, "You realize that's a felony." And we're like, "Well, maybe we should just leave." He goes, "That's a good idea."
So extreme
Um,
rollerblading, huh? What got you into that?
oh, someone lent me a pair of rollerblades, and I picked it up, and it was like something that I loved. I mean, I did it for like 10 years.
And do you have
Then
a
I got
need for
into running.
speed and other things too?
Yes, I do like sports cars and racing and stuff like
Mm.
that. So, um, you know, it's just I, I I like that feeling of getting really excited for stuff. I know I don't necessarily demonstrate that with my face and everything, but I really do get totally excited about all these things. Um, and candidly, uh, I am actually as excited about the services we offer. I know it's kind of geeky, but like I'm really passionate about this data entry and getting that part right, because I know that, one, you know, this is a pain point for a lot of people.
Yep.
They're overwhelmed, they're embarrassed, they're frustrated. They're like, you know, they got that bag of business cards that they've collected at places that all sound like nice to meet you. I'll be in touch. And then that's about it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, but take our story. So this is the other side of this, is that, you know, Isis and I met at a networking event online very similar to this program.
Yep.
And in our little 60-second introductions, there was something that sparked our attention. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not sure I totally understand that, but like it sounds good. I just don't know if I understand it well enough yet. Now, follow up drives profit up every time. And if you don't believe me, try the opposite, right? So what had to happen? Well, we sent each other a text. Then we got onto each other's calendar. Then we had the call, and then we talked, and then boom, I'm here. This is proof positive that like it was a great idea, but without a little bit of execution, uh, the world's filled with a lot of great ideas that never went anywhere. And so, um, and I find that talking with professional salespeople in whatever industry they're in, their goal is to be as professional as possible, to get as many deals as possible, as quickly as possible, so that they can sleep better and, you know, be a nicer person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And I'm
details
always
get
reminded of how much stress people carry around with things undone. And I think that was a lot of why I thought that this would be really interesting and you know, fun. And I agree with you. I find great pleasure in things that some people think are rather dry, but that it would be fun to learn how to organize better, because where there's organization, we can create more space around it for other exciting and um, creative opportunities. So if you're sitting in the audience and you're thinking, oh, you know, we're going to learn about data entry, that's not my thing. I'm a creative. No, it's going to help you to be able to be even more creative, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, here, think of this. We're not going to talk about data entry. We'll just talk about data entered, because that part's,
That's great.
maybe that's the way I need to rephrase this, is that we specialize in data entered
Yeah.
versus data entry. And going to a high level, I think that there's three things I'd like to kind of communicate before we get into the exercise, but whatever we want to, one is, I think it's important to understand the value of your database. If I said, hey, what's the value of your database? How are you going to even, how do you frame that in a response?
Hmm.
And more importantly, though, how do you feel about the answer you just tried to share? Because that's usually that's where it's not fun. Like, it's one thing to think through the problem, it's another to feel what the problem looks like. And then my big challenge to everyone is, so what are you going to do next? Like, what's next? Your best next steps. Like, okay, fine, that's your story, and that's why everything is the way it is. If we doubled your database overnight, would that help? And I would think that if the rest of your sales machine is working, we just doubled your odds. And even if it's not a full doubling, it's way better, you know. Um, so that's the first thing, is just understanding the depth of what this could be all about, if, and that's the air quote thing, if your database was great.
Now, the three questions you asked, the first one, I'm certain I got, do you understand the value of your database? The second was, how do you feel about that answer,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And then the last one, the third, was, what are your next steps?
Yeah,
So that's the
absolutely.
question that you really want people to be thinking. So walk us through that a little bit. How does somebody figure out what the value of their database is? What are the benchmarks that they should be using?
Sure. And it's a funny conversation, because technically speaking, if you ask an accountant, where do you find the database on the balance sheet, they're kind of ears smoke.
Yeah.
It's a trick question, because it's not actually listed as an asset. It's usually considered the goodwill of a company.
Mm.
And yet, if we had two businesses operating the same basic premise, and one had a moderate database and another one had a great database, that second company would sell for a higher multiple.
Wow.
You know, there's an expense to database. There's a monthly cost to your CRM. There's a monthly cost to the time and energy you're putting into, get stuff in there and get stuff to happen out of there, or you're working with an agency to help take care of these things for you. But, it's not free. And some people freak out on the cost of that.
Yeah.
But like, if everything were set up and rolling the way it needs to, and the automation to the lead magnet follow-up was happening, and the appointment follow-up, and everything was getting sequenced, I mean, it's like you have a team of minions running around doing all the right stuff so that we can stay in our game. So understanding, what is your actual reach? If something important happened to your company today and you had to have to make a mass announcement, how many people can you actually touch?
Mm. Yeah.
Do you have, I mean, if you're going to be featured on the news tonight,
Yeah.
you'd want to take advantage of that, and you don't have a lot of time. You'd be scrambling.
Yeah.
You
Now,
know,
I want to just confirm for my own sake, but also for those that are listening, when you talk about a database, and I've heard you mention a CRM, contact manager, or something like that, what do you define as being a database?
that's actually a really good question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because it's, you know what? Not all simple questions have simple answers.
Isn't that the truth?
So the word the CRM stands for Customer Relation Management. It's a tool that is designed to let you house every one of your contacts and all the contact information that you have on that individual record. That's typically called your database. Where it can get a little complicated is that some CRMs do certain things and others might not. So a lot of people have a MailChimp account or Constant Contact, which is email marketing. It's not a full CRM, but it's really good at having the ability to send out notes with the unsubscribe. So if they're not happy, they can get off the list before they complain about you. There's a service called Send Out Cards, and I know there's multiple similar platforms. This is fantastic. If you want to send more handwritten cards, but hate handwriting cards and finding stamps, this is for you. You can actually just type it into an app and it will write your notes and address them and send them out. You can design them. It's cool.
Yeah.
If that's, I mean, and here's another thing. We're talking about stress. Guess what? It's about time for people to start thinking about holiday cards for their company. Okay. That can send shivers down some people's spine. It is a typical weak spot. I'll tell you a little bit about about a weird project like that. So, so getting the understanding of how this actually fits into the big picture is can take a little while. Some people get it. Some people, don't get it. Some people are resistant to it, thinking they don't want to buy into this. And so our approach is we're just going to share with you how we feel about these things and the pros and the cons, and help everyone make good decisions. I think, the next thing is to determine how much of what could you have. Mm-hmm. So, if you, I think people forget that they've got a lot of physical assets and electronic sources. Mm-hmm. And once they can get a better way to quantify like what's available, that also feeds back into the understanding of the database. If you're looking at that bag of shame and realizing that there's probably, even if it's 5% of that bag of 1,000, that's 50 people that should be spending money with you. Hmm. Yeah. And if that doesn't scare the heck out of you here, well, how about this part? If not you, who? Yeah.
So to go back to my question, do
Yes.
we define database in this situation as the CRM, or is it, and all of the other tools that support the CRM and that the CRM supports?
Yes, and not all the systems are connected. So the database is the holistic concept that I know where all my contacts are.
Mm. Right.
In a perfect world, your iPhone would have the same set of contacts as the Gmail, unless you've got a different business reason for that. But they're not always like that.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, if we're having good conversations with someone, we would think that we should be connected with them on LinkedIn, but that could slip through the cracks.
Yeah. All right. We want to have enough time for our done with you portion of this. Is there a kind of a closing thought, an ask? What do you want from this group of people that's listening to your words now? What's your call to action for
them? Thank you. So, number one, I want people to play with us on this one. Mm-hmm. We're going to do a quick exercise, and even if this isn't something that you'd normally feel comfortable with, just trust the process. Nothing's going to go wrong. And just to let this ponder, like if you made a dent on this, maybe even before the end of the year, so you can start off fresh for next year. How could that help your business grow and help you achieve your own goals? Because if it's not your goals, it's not going to happen. We can have a lot
How
to
the
about.
process could help you achieve your goals.
Yeah.
Okay.
And listen, even if this isn't for you, just having, you probably talk with other business professionals, and there's a lot of people where this is a really big pain point. It's not necessarily one of the more obvious ones, but if you ever say, hey, how's your database? Think about that. What kind of answers you would be tending to get.
Yeah.
So that's the whole theory part of the conversation. I think we should go have some fun downloading some stuff here.
Awesome.
How about that, gang? Is everybody okay? You're all on mute, so give me a wave or pop your head or do something. There we go. Okay. I got to keep the blood flowing here. I told you this stuff's boring otherwise.
Well,
okay.
Daniel, thank you. This has been a pleasure. It's been fun to get to know that you're a man with the need for speed, that you have a green thumb that is very tall, and that you have your 4th greyhound and a brindle, right?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I thought he was sitting in here.
No.
Sometimes he's got we've got beds everywhere. There's one right there that he, sometimes tends to do it, but I think he's laying in the sun right now. All right.
Well, meet us on the flip side.
Absolutely. We'll call him up here.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Want to be our next featured speaker? Click the link in the description to register, and let's stay connected. Follow me on all those social media platforms for financial tips to help you make your money work smarter while you build financial stability. Stay tuned for more, and see you in the next one.